My name is Bobby Rebeiro and I'm the director of Headcase in Primrose Hill. I've got the idea of how a barbershop can be so different, and it can still work as a barbershop, but it can actually do so much more. It can be so much more in the community. It can be so much more for the men, for the people in the men's lives.
When I heard about this barber, I started to realise there are no spaces where men can have real conversations beyond the usual kind of stuff about cars, sport, women, money, all of the wanting to look good, bravado stuff. Maybe there's more things that guys want to talk about. I'm friends with Bobby, and he's done a lot of stuff on men's work, working with men and how they feel about themselves. I've had a lot of experience with men through men's fertility, and that's why I got involved in this project.
You might just have these feelings that you're not good enough, you're not living up to in some way, you're not successful, you're not the one who's making the deals, you're not the one who's earning as much money as you should, you don't have the things that people in your peer group do, or people in your culture do, and well, for me it was just this feeling that I wasn't kind of living up in some way, I wasn't kind of good enough, and it took looking back at it to see that I was kind of living in this man box. And it was, when you don't live up to those ideals, it does bring about sadness, and it can bring about anger as well, anger at yourself and anger at other people as well. I think role modeling, like having people just be able to talk about these things and showing that it's this is just how it is, making that the new normal, just I think it will make a huge difference to people.
It was dealing with my own journey to trying to have a baby, and experience of men and men's fertility, my own fertility, and all the ups and downs that go with that. And I started off with thinking just about that, but I realised the impact that it has on me as a man, and I found myself questioning my own masculinity. It led me to think of, what does it mean to be a man? And from there, I started to notice all these things that were going on with men and men's mental health. And that's when I discovered that the biggest killer of men under 45 in the UK is suicide.
I think the toxic part of it is feeling that you have to live within these stereotypes, and feeling threatened when you don't either live up to those stereotypes, or if someone says you're not living up to those stereotypes. It took a while for me to be able to convey why I was doing it to people, for them to get. And there was still some skepticism. Like I talked to people about, maybe doing this with me, like, talking to different barbers and talking to people in the hair industry. And eventually they kind of got what I was doing, but they saw it as a risk for me, because I'm not a barber. I'm not doing it myself. I'm not going to be in the shop doing the things myself. So it was hard for people to get the idea that I wanted to do something which was kind of outside of what I normally do. Eventually I found Headcase, who were really supportive with all the things that I didn't know, so the business side of things, the actual setting up, the logistics of it, and they helped with all of that, but they also supported me in, when I explained to them why I wanted to do it, they were super supportive.
Barbers are a really important community to the Movember Foundation. They have lots of conversations with their customers. Customers will see them more often than they probably see a doctor. So barbers in a unique position to sort of notice change in their customers and have those kind of life-changing or life-saving conversations with them. Globally, men die 6 years younger than women, and unfortunately 3 out of 4 suicides are men. So obviously men are more at risk of taking their own lives. One of the reasons that happens is because guys don't talk about mental health. So it's really important that they know what to do when they have a problem, and it's really important that we know what to do when we see a guy who's struggling. We need to know to ask them the right questions.
The barbers know that they can have these deep conversations with their clients. They've seen that they can have these conversations, and they might not be the norm, but making the conversations the center rather than just the peripheral, I think most people have been pretty supportive with that, and have seen the idea that barbers can be more than just people who cut your hair. The barbers aren't counsellors, they're not therapists, they're not trained in that way. When it comes to training the barbers, we are working with different organisations to have ongoing training.
Bobby's he's making sure that we're getting all the trainings and supports that we need, and he's making sure we're well equipped to do this?
We've started a men's health program called Movember Rated Barbers. It's an online course, movemberratedbarbers.com. And basically, barbers can equip themselves to have really important life-saving conversations with their customers. Barbers are a really trusted profession. About 70% of guys say that they trust their barber. So they're in a really great position to have regular check-ins and catch-ups with their customers. So the program basically helps them have those really important one-to-ones with the guys that they see, week in, week out. So we use the ALEC guide. So that's A for ask them a question, ask them how they're doing, listen, don't interrupt and don't offer advice, just be there and listen to them. Encourage them to take action in their life, so to perhaps seek professional help if necessary, or make some changes in their lifestyle which might improve their mental health. And then later on, check in and make sure that they've taken that action, and again, just be there to listen. So it's really about sparking off those conversations about men's mental health.
I think it's important for men to talk in general, whether it's about their mental health. There are things which stereotypically men don't talk. Well, stereotypically men don't talk. It's not the thing. Like growing up, Clint Eastwood was my hero. He was the Hollywood icon that I looked to, and he's this strong, silent. He took a beating. He didn't say anything about it, and obviously he'd go back and have his revenge. But that was kind of what I grew up with, thinking this is the way I have to be, and it had an impact on me. Not being able to, not even knowing that was a thing, like not knowing that there were emotions that I was having that I wasn't able to express or identify.
I started to realise that maybe masculinity could be created. Maybe everybody could create their own version of what it means to be a man. What would that be like? No one is stuck in having to be a particular way. I don't think we're anywhere near that yet, and I think men as a whole have got to start thinking seriously about asking that question of themselves. What do I think it means to be a man? And then choosing something, not something that they've inherited. So I think we all have a responsibility as men to create that for ourselves, and then it has a big knock-on effect on women as well.
Issues related to masculinity, whether that be attitudes towards women, sexuality, or of course mental health and emotional well-being, we need to talk about them.
This project is really inspiring because it's new and it's something that I haven't seen happen before, and it's taking something that men do all the time, having their hair cut, and really giving them a safe space. So they get the care and the attention, which again, often men don't look for those opportunities. It's a real one-on-one environment, and they can really open up as much or as little as they want. They might come the first time, just kind of assess it, see how it is, but they need to come back because they want another haircut. And so, the next time they might open up a little bit more. So it's just a really gentle way of encouraging people, and men in particular, obviously, to open up. And the other thing with, getting your hair cut is sometimes, whatever the issue that you're dealing with, whether it be infertility or something else, it affects your self-esteem, it affects your confidence. And it's incredible how something as, simple and everyday as a haircut can just transform you completely, and just you walk out feeling good. So if you have that combined with like a really genuine, open conversation, you're gonna walk out of here on air, which is just what we want. We want people to be able to talk and to feel good and confident about themselves, no matter what they're going through.
So the Movember Foundation is the only global charity tackling men's health around the world. So our three cause areas are prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and men's mental health. So we're raising funds and awareness for those causes to stop men dying too young, with the aim of reducing premature deaths in those areas by 25%. And we can only really do that with the support of the Movember community. So projects like this are absolutely vital to that.
It's important to see talking about emotional well-being and mental health as just as regular as talking about your physical health. Of course, there are very many different types of men and ways of being a man, but I think there is still a pressure on an awful lot of us to keep quiet, or even those who know that they should say something and are desperate to say something, but they don't know how, or they don't have the people around them to talk to. So yeah, this undoes that.
I had a bit of depression myself, and The hardest thing for me to do, the only thing that I didn't do when I had this myself, was speaking about my depression, letting the things out that was upsetting me. And I think one of the reasons why was because it was a cultural thing first, and second, it was a picture of how a man should be, how the society makes you believe, okay, a man needs to be this way. And there's only so much you can do about things that you wanna say to others. If you're not helping yourself out, there's this thing they put in your head that if you can't help yourself, how can anyone else help you? So there's no point of you letting things out. But then I found out this is not true. You can always let things out.
So something like this, which is in a community, I mean, just in a street where people walk past every day, it's not a clinic, it's not a psychiatrist's office, it doesn't look like sort of an intimidating building, and especially if you are feeling down, feeling low, that can be a difficult step to make, whereas coming in here can be a lot more every day. And if you know that there are people in your community just down the road who you can chat to, and therefore this road would start to feel like a friendly place, and you would know that there's people around here who are likely to be involved with that message and see it as something positive, and that will only lead to more positive places.
What people find inspiring and what encourages more people to talk about it when they're ready is hearing other people's stories. And it really will help break that taboo if people can start talking about it. And that's, by coming somewhere like this and just doing it on a one-to-one level, or getting on social media or with the newspapers. When you're ready, do as much as you can, because it will change people's lives. And I have to say, in my own experience, it changes your life as well. It really does. When you are ready to open up, it's so liberating. And it's very cathartic, actually. So I would, when you're ready, and that's at a different stage for different people, I would encourage people to.
It's just sort of deciding to take an everyday thing like getting a haircut and turn that into a bit more. And that's what really needs to happen in so many different areas, that we shouldn't be seeing this as mental health as a scary word, and that you talk about it to a psychiatrist after something bad has happened. It should be the case that this is something which we just do all the time. It should be as natural as it is, and this is a great environment for that to actually be seen and discussed.
You have men role modelling different types of masculinity, different ways of being, where where you're not going to laugh, you're not going to make fun of someone talking. Like if that's what everyone's doing, then that's just how it is.
When people take a real interest in someone else, I think it makes a big difference, because in general, I don't think people get listened to very much.
To me, it has a big impact. It's a good place. For me, it's a good place to have men coming into the shop and speaking to others, speaking to me, speaking to their barber. We can all start from where we're working, where we're living at. It's like you can start in your own family. We can do this by giving interest, showing interest to having a conversation with them, asking them questions, normal little things. For example, as a man, I would love to go home and see my family, my girlfriend, my wife, whoever it is, to ask me, how was your day? How was work? These little things, it builds up and it builds trust. It makes you feel better, and then slowly, it makes you wanna say more things that you've never said to them. So just by showing interest, whatever it takes to show them that I'm interested at hearing their story.
I think a space like this can have the most incredible impact. For every single individual that comes through here, they have a good experience. They leave, feeling really positive. They inevitably tell people of their experiences. However deep, they go into why it was amazing, people are then going to come again, and, their friends are going to come. And just having the conversation about it hopefully will inspire others to set up their own businesses like this, or to really investigate how they can bring it into their own workplace or their own kind of communities. And that ripple effect will just have the most amazing impact.
The impact could be massive. Of course, it depends on where you are as an individual when you come in. I wouldn't call it an element of surprise that you're having a haircut and suddenly you find yourself talking to someone about how you feel, but that could be something that people don't expect, and therefore they could suddenly come out of here feeling like, oh, actually got a lot off my chest and I feel, you know, happier for it. So that impact would be huge.
This is us changing that all-male environment and changing the type of talk that we have, changing that locker room talk, changing the conversations that we're having to one which are, well, better for us and better for everyone.
Hopefully in our little shop, this beautiful little shop, we can do something good and, you know, try to bring them together and make some changes.